First thing you do when you start a mix is you get your balance set as quick as you possibly can. That's the first step. In other words, balance meaning where are things panned and how loud do they need to be? Without doing that, you can't really know what your next step is. It's impossible. So as soon as I started playing it, my first thought was this sounds pretty good. But let's keep something in mind. Pretty good is super relative. When I watch somebody like Joe Carroll mix, I hear what he's mixing, the tracks he gets. And a lot of you use this as a comment for why it's easier for some mixers to work than others. It's because of the stuff they're getting. If they're getting stuff recorded in amazing studios, $1 million studios, it's not going to be as hard for them to make things work as it would be for somebody who's using an MBox 2 Pro from 2000 and, early 2000 era like I am. I'm using recordings I made back in 2008. I didn't know what I know now about recording. I didn't have any of this knowledge that I've acquired over all these years. So a lot of the mics were not placed properly. A lot of the levels were not placed properly. A lot of you should realize that all the time you spend recording anything, it's not a waste. Because if it wasn't for me spending all the time and all the days deciding, I know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go to the studio and I'm going to record this song that I'm hoping one day becomes a big hit. If I didn't have that feeling and the confidence that I need to go record this, it's a great song, let's go do it, I would never have had all this stuff to be able to mess with now when I have the acquired knowledge. The mixes I was putting together then with this stuff I recorded were terrible, but the tracks I recorded, I could not get that back today if I wanted to. I would need to do what I did, which was rehearse every week, sometimes multiple times a week with the band. We practiced 2-3 times a week, and everybody cared about the band. It was me, a bass player, and a drummer. We all cared. The drummer cared. He's a guy who was actually a bit older than us, a seasoned pro drummer who knew what he was doing, played less. Less is more was like his motto. Loved that Curtis Mayfield style drumming. Curtis Mayfield, I forget who played drums for him on a lot of things, but it's that old school soul style drumming. And I'm sure I'm doing somebody a huge disservice by not knowing who that is, but that was his style. It was all I could think of because I grew up, loving old school music that was before my time, specifically Curtis Mayfield stuff. And when you listen to the Superfly soundtrack, he did the whole soundtrack. Out of this world, what that stuff sounds like. Listen to Pusher Man, listen to, Superfly. Listen to any of those songs on that Curtis Mayfield soundtrack are phenomenal. And the drums reminded me of this guy, the way that he would play. It was a less is more mentality. It was never do a fill every 4 bars. My least favorite thing about drummers is when they're bored and they play fills all the time. I hate that. If I was a drum teacher, I would never let a student get away with that. Never play fills until it's time to play a fill. Wait. I need you to wait. Minute and a half into the song, play a fill. Nothing before that kind of thing. What are we doing here, It's about the song. It's not about the fills. Because everyone was so good at their craft, and I'm mainly talking about the drums and the bass, I look at the bass player as, he's so good. He's still one of my friends, but it's almost unexplainably, inexplicable how good he is. I cannot possibly tell you why he's this good. He's just always had such a good ear, such a good feel, and always, I don't know what it is. He's not even one of these guys who live with the bass under his pillow, but maybe he did for a period of time before I met him. I don't know. All I know is he's just one of these guys who's so good, right? So that's who's on the bass. The drummer, phenomenal drummer who knows how to play for the song. And I can't get that back today without these guys. And that's one thing, if you lose, is the people are the most important thing. Your friends, your bandmates, whatever you guys build, because of the time you spend and the effort you spend nailing parts, that's always going to destroy a guy who just comes in and just plays on a track for a couple hours. That could be great if that's your only option, but the guy who learns the part perfect for the song and everybody's gelling and it's really cohesive, there's something magical there. And I'm lucky that I still have these recordings because I can take them today and make them something better than they ever were before. I've never heard the songs like I can do now. Whereas before, I knew I recorded them, but I felt like, it's okay, because I couldn't do anything with the mix. But because now I'm able to take a mix with all the acquired knowledge and do something with it, these things sound great. And I'm just lucky that I didn't waste that time years ago. And I maintained the hard drives. I maintained the stuff so I could take it one day and do something with it. I'm a guy who doesn't throw out much. And in this case, it's very helpful. In the case of keeping 100,000 t-shirts, it's not so helpful. In the case of keeping a bunch of band merch you're never going to sell, it's not helpful. Being a hoarder is not good. But when it comes to music, keep it. You maintain it. It's worth it. Every year, hard drives get cheaper all the time. So backing your stuff up, keeping the old stuff, it's just a process. Keep putting it on new hard drives in case they go, the old ones, but keep it around. You'll be happy, just like I am right now. So happy I have the ability to go back in time and take tracks that were recorded in a subpar way and make them sound great today. Now, that's the other thing I want you to think about a little is when I watch a guy like Joe Carroll mix stuff that was recorded in Sunset Sound or, someplace in Nashville that was millions of dollars or whatever the case may be, I think to myself, that's great. It starts out great and then he winds up making it better and it's better. Great. When you take stuff that's terrible sounding or just recorded with people who don't, I don't even mean the song's terrible, I mean recorded badly. The sonics aren't there. The drum placement, the mic placement on the drums is just because of the knowledge not being there, it's not there. The equipment's not there. There's no Neve mic pre's anywhere. You know what I'm saying? There's just, you're going in and out through whatever you have in front of you and into an M-Box 2 Pro where the converters are terrible because it was the beginning of digital. Like when you're back in that era, and you're using the stuff, and you make something like that sound good, the feeling is entirely different. It's like I would almost like to see a mix contest. There's a bunch of guys mixing stuff that was all recorded subpar. Who can make it sound the best? And I'm not talking about with samples, because that was something I was talking about with my boy Brad that night when we were listening to hours of music. I was like, man, everything we're hearing sounds completely different. If I were to put on a 2015 or 2010 forward playlist, everything would sound the same. Like, why is that? That so many things sound different, so many things sound the same, in the relatively modern era. Why is that? And up through till today, why is that? And I was like, it's because it occurred to me, it's because the same samples being used on so many different things. It's because they get a song where the drums work and now every freaking drum set sounds exactly like that because they're just using the sample that they used on the hit and they keep using it. A lot of the songs are mixed by the same people, but reusing the same samples. It's like gridding the stuff, whatever is happening that makes everything sound the same is such a travesty. Because when you compare that to the old school stuff, there's just such a wide array of what things sound like. You listen to the Kinks' Power Man, the drums just sound so cool. Listen to Spoon, the drums sound so cool. There's so many different things like STP, the drums sound unique compared to the Chili Peppers, compared to Pearl Jam, listen to 10. Listen to these albums and you're telling me you don't just wow, what is it that's so much more exciting that nothing sounds the same? And what it made me realize, I was like, man, there's a gold mine to every recording anyone ever made before they could use samples on everything, before they could drum replace all the kicks and snares and toms and make it sound like the same thing somebody else recorded. What a magic there was. And also the skill level that it required to make that stuff good was very different because it was about as good as this can be. Not as good as it can be with the choice of every sample, as good as this can be. And this is actually the same reason I like not using, plugins for guitars. The music that I record is generally a mic'd up guitar cabinet because every cabinet is going to sound a little different. Every head for an amp is going to sound different. Every guitar a little different. And as soon as you take that and run it into some cab simulation, amp simulation, whatever, I get it, you got more choices, but it's not better because it's not unique to you and what you got. It's not unique to your cabinet and how it was maintained. It's not unique to your room. Your room is changing the way that thing's going to sound, no matter what. So I am a huge proponent of use real stuff, record real stuff, no matter what. Even if you have to take your amp and play it low. For bass, I understand the argument for some people just using a DI, because when I do that, I can make a bass sound great with just a DI. I'm all for it. The recording that I made with this, there was a cabinet. I mic'd it up with 3 mics, the SM58, the D112. I'm sorry, I mic'd it with 2. SM58, D112, and a direct signal. That's it. That's where I get my bass sound on a lot of the stuff I did in 2008, because I always knew you have a bass amp, you mic it up. And we had a bass amp in the room because it was a rehearsal studio, so I would mic it up. This stuff was also recorded separately. Like most of the stuff, there was an acoustic guitar first or something, the drums then got recorded, then the bass, then the guitars. Now, I'm a huge proponent of people playing together, but when the band is tight enough where you can predict what everyone's gonna do because you've rehearsed the song 100,000 times like we used to do, and we played these songs live in a lot of cases, you know what everyone's going to do. You could read their mind before they record it. It's like you see the future. So that was kind of what's going on. And I'm so lucky to have these recordings. And all I could say is if you're in that boat where you have stuff you used to do with somebody and you keep thinking, maybe I should re-record it today using new gear, better gear. I got better mic pre's. I got a better mic. Don't do it. Use your old stuff. However it was recorded, it's good enough. Trust me, it probably is better. Because whatever handicaps you had that time with the less stuff, less gear, less knowledge, that's also going to impact your sound, and you can't get that back again. And what you also can't get back is the time. All the effort you put into doing it at the time, you can't get that back. So I would, if I were you, don't put more time into making it worse. Use the thing you already have that could be great with your newly acquired knowledge. And if you're not there yet, don't stress, don't feel worried, don't fret. One day, you will have the acquired knowledge if you keep at it. If you keep getting better by working on more and more and more stuff. There's nothing to say you can't go back and edit this again. You could. And if you have it on a newer operating system and it's all fresh because you just did a mix of it, if you're better in 5 years, do it again. If you're better in 3 or 2 years, whatever, do it again. But all I'm saying is do it now too, because this will help you get better, and use whatever it is. Don't try to make it perfect. Don't sterilize it. Don't record anything again. If it was done to you back then, it's probably still done to you. Even if you didn't release it. If you felt like I didn't touch this stuff other than pull up the tracks and try to make it sound as good as I possibly could without adding a kick sample, without adding a snare sample.
Slow, I lost control, I lock and load, let it go. She took my money, she cut me off, she kicked me out, she held me down. We messed around, baby she went down. She cut me off, she kicked me out, and we went down. We went down. I've got to make a confession. slow. I lost control, I lock and load, let it go. She took my money and she cut me out. She kicked me out, she held me down. Messed around, baby she went down. She cut me off, she kicked me out, and we went ooh ah ooh da down, and we go da ba da ba doo da down. Oh ah ooh da down, and wah ah wah ah.
You know, this room was dead as dead, and it doesn't really hurt the sound. It's pretty amazing. Like it has a dry vibe to it, but I kind of like that. So again, I kind of just tried to make it what it was already instead of changing it. So I didn't add a ton of verb and this and that to it. So I hope you dig it. I really hope you got something from this that could maybe propel you to keep everything you've ever done and realize that one day you will be able to make it better and make it great. You will be able to potentially take something and make it a gold mine for you. You could be sitting on a gold mine and you wouldn't even know it. But if you don't throw out any of the time spent, if you don't devalue all the effort you put into getting tight with your band or recording whatever you did or writing those songs, spending all those hours driving to Brooklyn and back, in my case, every day for years, if you don't devalue all that, you might actually have something there that could make something for yourself that is great, that other people might also like, but you may love it. And because of that, it, it, it might change your life. I mean, who knows? All I could tell you is you don't throw it away. It's valuable. Promise me that. All right? Leave something in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. This is Evan Jaffee, Custom Cut Studios in the new place. You guys got this. Take it easy.